What's up everybody, Jared here with carbuzz.com, and today I am bringing you a full deep dive walk around video of the 2023 Cadillac Lyriq. This is an all new, all electric luxury crossover from Cadillac. This is gunning after things like the Tesla Model Y, but it's coming in at a lower price range. More on that later. So we are going to explore this vehicle and see what it's all about. Now, I'm not going to be driving the Lyriq in this video because drive impressions are currently embargoed. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel and ring that notification bell to be alerted when our drive impression video finally goes live. Now let's talk about the design, because it is so different from anything that Cadillac currently sells right now. Of course, because it doesn't need a grill to cool the gas engine. You just get a little bit of cooling down here, but this is all just fixed. There's actually no holes here, but we do have this really nice black finish here. So what they do is they actually laser etch the black parts to create this really cool pattern. And this thing does some amazing lighting sequences at night. The lights like do these really cool patterns, similar to what Audi does. It's gorgeous. Trust me on that one. Unfortunately, I can't really show you here in the daytime. We've got Cadillac's new monochromatic logo that looks much more modern and much more hip, I would say, than the old Wreath model did. And then the headlights are like very different from what we'll find on other Cadillac models as well. You've got your main DRL that's always on here. You've got the main headlights here, these sort of jewel things. And then up here is going to be your turn signal. Now the wheels are really cool looking. They look both luxurious and kind of eco-conscious at the same time. You have this nice chrome finish, which I'm normally not a big fan of, but it looks kind of cool with these black inserts here. 22-inch wheels are going to come standard on the Lyriq, which is quite nice. Here from the side profile, you can see that this is roughly it's a mid-size vehicle. It's longer, lower, and wider than a Cadillac XT5 to give you just some overall impressions on the side. We do have our charge door here. It is motorized. You can click the Cadillac logo here, and that's going to go ahead and open it. Now, we were trying to figure out how to close it, just a button right there. So you do have DC fast charging as well on this. Just pull this down and this will charge at speeds of up to 190 kilowatts, which is not the fastest in the industry, but it's pretty good. You can get a pretty good juice out of it. I'll talk a little bit more about that a little later. We have these flush door handles here, which is kind of interesting. They're not like Tesla's where you kind of have to push and pull it. You simply push it and then a motor is going to push the door out just a little bit. And then similar to the Mustang Mach-E, we have a little black handle here and you just grab that. The motor is actually right here. It's just this little piece. It just extends out via motor to give you better access to the door. I think it's not a bad way to do it. I prefer this to Tesla's. The only issue is here on the rear door, there's no like handle like there is on the front. So you kind of just have to grab it here on the C-pillar and get smudges all over this gloss black, which is a little bit annoying, but not a bad implication at all. Now here in the back, the styling gets pretty crazy. We've got this unique taillight bar that wraps around. You can see that the lights kind of extend like all the way down the side of the car. I've never seen anything like that. I thought it was kind of hideous when I first saw it, but it really makes an impression here in person. I don't know what it is about seeing this car in person, but I think it definitely looks cool. You're going to notice the Lyriq out on the road. You can see our Lyriq badge. All Cadillac electric vehicles are going to have this IQ suffix at the end there. So they're also going to have the Celestiq, which is going to be a sleek, gorgeous electric sedan. And then we're going to have the Lumistic, which we don't even know what that's going to be. So there's going to be a couple of them. 450E refers to our Newton meters of torque. I'll talk a little bit about power later on. It's kind of silly that Cadillac puts those badges on their cars because nobody cares about Newton meters of torque, honestly. Very sizable trunk. This is a really nice amount of storage area, and because it's electric, we do have storage underneath here as well. You can see that there's room for some stuff there. We have our cargo divider, a special slot for that, and if I lift this up a little bit more, there's space where you can put your charger in there as well. All Lyriqs are going to ship with a home charger that you can plug into a 110 outlet, or you can also plug them into a 240 outlet, which is quite nice. I don't know a lot of vehicles that are doing that as standard. You also have your seat release here, motorized. They go motorized down. They do not go motorized up. I'll show you the back seat. because it is pretty roomy. Once again, we have those cool doors. We've got sort of a white finish leather here. I think it's very nice with these really cool like blue pipes sort of here in the middle. I'll get a closer zoom on that. I love it. Very subtle, but it definitely adds just like a little bit itty bitty splash of color here. You can fold down the seats manually from here if you don't want to do it from the trunk area. I'm gonna go ahead and sit down so you can see I have a very good amount of leg room, and this seat is carved out so I can get a little bit more knee room in here. Of course, we have air vents, we have a 110 outlet, and we have 2 USB-Cs down here. We do have a panoramic moonroof. I'll try and open that so that you can see that a little later, but I gotta fire this thing up because it is very sunny, and the interior is going to get pretty darn hot. So let's go ahead and start it up. We do have a conventional power button. This is not one of those EVs that is just going to power up when you sit down. All right, so we have a lot to talk about here because this cabin is so different from what we find in other Cadillacs. The only thing that's a little similar is this 33-inch curved display. This is all one screen, one piece of glass, which is a little different than the Cadillac Escalade, which is actually 3 separate screens. And Cadillac tells me that this actually has a 9K resolution. So you've heard of like 4K TVs. This is 9K, and it is powered by General Motors' latest Google software. So you can see this is not me running Android Auto. This is built-in Google Maps, which means that you can say things like, "Hey Google, tell me a joke."
What do you call a belt made of watches? A waste of time.
So like everything you would be able to ask your Google device at home, you can ask this. That is fantastic. The other thing that's great about this is that when you put in a destination somewhere, it's going to tell you how much battery you're going to end up with there. Very similar to what we'll find in the Polestar 2, which also has a Google-based UI. Now, as you've been seeing, I can control this here on the touchscreen. This is obviously a touchscreen. We've got full 33 inches of screen, or you can use this new, very pretty glass rotating knob here. You can scroll that way as well. I found that as a passenger, this screen is tilted to the driver, so I actually prefer using this from the passenger side, but as a driver, I think I would almost rather just use the touchscreen. Now here on the steering wheel, we've got Cadillac's Super Cruise technology. That means we can drive around hands-free on this car. I've tested Super Cruise in some other vehicles and it is fantastic. We've got our heated steering wheel button. We've got some other controls for the Super Cruise that look a little bit different than they do on some other vehicles. Cadillac was adamant that nothing in here is a carryover button or switch from any other General Motors vehicles. This is all Cadillac only stuff. The only thing that looks familiar is this button. Looks very similar to what you'd find in a Chevy, but it is reskinned. All of the window switches and switchgear and stuff like that do feel very different. Now, we've already checked out the main part of the touchscreen here with the Google Assistant. We have access to the Google Play Store. That's all really cool. Here in the center screen, we have this little screen off to the left where we can kind of change what this main gauge cluster is. So right now it's just kind of a normal gauge cluster. You can have sort of this energy one, or you can have it be a full color map, which is very useful if you want to have your audio here and your map there, or you can go for this clean finish if you just want something basic, maybe that won't strain your eyes at night. And then over here, in addition to those, you also have your trip, just like you do on the Cadillac Escalade, and your headlight controls. Now over here on the door, we've got our heated and ventilated seats. This is our lumbar and massage seat controller. I will say though, the massage seats, don't get too excited about them. It's basically a roller that goes up and down your back. Nothing special. I've been in much better massage seats before, including from Cadillac. We've got our digital rear view mirror, which is nice. I told you that I would show you the sunroof, the control for which is here. I'll go wide angle here so you can see how big it is. And we can see whether or not it opens, because this is actually the first time I'm opening it. No, so it's one big piece of glass, which is nice that there's no divider here, but it also means that you can't like open it and get air. But it is nice that Cadillac put a shade, because Tesla does not put a shade on it, which is quite nice. We've got a 19 speaker AKG audio system. I've had a chance to listen to that already. Sounds fantastic, and that comes standard, which is great. We've got a bunch of different modes for that. You can do full surround sound. The folks from AKG were giving me demos of it. Very, very cool, very, very good system. We've got our physical dual zone automatic climate controls here, which you can pull up on the screen if you want. Interestingly, the vents here, so Cadillac kind of copied Tesla here, but not really. To adjust the vents, you don't physically move them. You just get this beautiful knurled knob, and you just kind of move this around, and that is internally moving the vents. I don't know if you can kind of see that doing it. It's a little easier to see over here. See? It's moving those vents just using this, and then you twist it, and that's what turns it off. This is a really nice item. I really like that, and it's so much better than adjusting the vents via touchscreen or something like that. Now, because this is electric and obviously there's no transmission tunnel, we have a lot of space here. We've got the cup holders right here. You can push in this little part if you have a mug with a handle. That's really smart, so the handle can kind of sit in this in-between area. I've already showed you the controller, which does have a volume knob, which is quite nice. Now we can lift this up, and you have a little bit of storage in here with our normal car outlet and a USB-C as well. And we do have a wireless charger in here, similar to what we'll find in other Cadillac models, with a little USB-C port right here and another one down here on this lower item. Probably have to position this camera. So we have a lot of storage down here, enough for like a small woman's purse, which is quite nice. I love this blue finish, although Cadillac tells me that you can get some other colors on it. I think the blue is fantastic. It's just a little splash of color. And then up here, you get this little drawer that pops out. You can see we have some hand sanitizer in there. That is also lined in blue. I think that is fantastic. I'm really digging the design and kind of the UI of this. The only thing I don't like is if I come over here to controls, glove box release. There is no physical button to open the glove box. You have to do it from the touchscreen, which is a little bit weird. I'm not a huge fan of that. But other than that, I think they have put enough physical controls in there to make it sort of worthwhile. All right, so now I'm gonna shut her off. We have this really nice metal handle here. You just kind of lift that up to get out. It's a very nice feeling item right here. I just wanted to show you that unfortunately, although it looks like it would have enough storage for it, and it keeps honking at me, there is no frunk. I'm not really sure what's under here. I guess it's just electronics and stuff. That's a little bit disappointing because some of the other competitors in this segment do have a front trunk. So like I said, we aren't able to drive the Lyriq today, but I can give you a little bit of a summary on what you should expect. So we have a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack that's going to give you 312 miles of range if you get the rear wheel drive model. That's 340 horsepower, 325 pound-feet of torque. All of that is yours for $62,990. You also get that $1,500 credit towards a home charger install, which is fantastic. That's great. Now, for $2,000 extra, you get a motor on the front axle that's going to up this guy to 500 horsepower. Now, we are not getting to drive that model on this trip, but I imagine that 500 horsepower is going to be epic in this car. It will probably hurt that range a little bit, but for $2,000 to get all-wheel drive and like 160 extra horsepower, I think that might be the way I would go. As a reminder, our full driving review will be up next Tuesday. I will post the date and the link in the description below, but I really hope you've enjoyed this first look walk around of the Cadillac Lyriq. And if you did, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. And if you want to learn more about the 2023 Cadillac Lyriq, be sure to check out carbuzz.com.